what happened to my other love. That motherfucker vanished into thin air because apparently my internet wasn't working this whole time. But now my shit on, so we back.
By 23, she was
Yeah.
his wife. At first, it was perfect. Marcel made her feel like a queen. Their home was a beautiful, custom-built house just outside the city, decorated with the finest furniture. She drove a luxury car. She had everything she ever wanted. Or so she thought. As the years passed, Renee began to see the other side of Marcel. At first, it was little things, rules that seemed harmless. She wasn't allowed to go into the restaurant's walk-in freezer. She wasn't allowed to ask about where the meat came from. If deliveries were late, there was never a shortage of product. Somehow, Marcel always had fresh meat, even when his suppliers swore they were backed up. At first, she didn't question it. She knew better than to pry into Marcel's business. His empire was built on secrecy, efficiency, and absolute control. She had no problem playing the role
She
of
should have
the
left that
mother
situation a long time
until
ago.
her cousin Lisa went missing. Lisa Dupree was her favorite cousin. They grew up together, sharing secrets, sneaking out to parties, protecting each other from the world. When Renee married Marcel, Lisa was the only one who saw the warning signs. I don't trust him, Lisa had said one night, swirling her drink at the bar. He's too calculated. Renee brushed it off. Lisa never liked men with too much power. Then one day, Lisa vanished. No goodbye. No trace. No clues. Renee was devastated, but Marcel, he barely reacted. It's Houston, he said with a shrug. People go missing every day. That was when the unease set in. Because Renee remembered something, Lisa had come to visit her just days before she disappeared. And she had been asking questions. Questions about Marcel's restaurant. Questions about why his meat tasted so different. Questions about why certain employees seemed terrified of him. Renee couldn't shake the feeling that Lisa had gotten too close. And when she started digging for answers, she realized she was next. The night the truth unraveled, the air in the Bennett
Good morning,
household
good
was thick
morning,
with
good
tension.
morning.
Marcel had been drinking more than usual, his heavy footsteps unsteady as he stumbled into their bedroom, the stench of whiskey clinging to his clothes. Renee watched as he
I ain't been
collapsed
to the
onto the mattress,
YMCA in
his
a
breathing
minute
slow
though.
and deep.
I used to go
Passed out
all the
cold,
time.
her heart
When
pounding
I used to
against her
stay in
ribs.
VA, I used to go all the
This was her
time.
only chance. For years, she had respected his rules. She had ignored the warnings. She had looked the other way when things didn't add up. But not anymore. Not after Lisa. The forbidden door. Barefoot, Renee crept down the hallway, past the grand staircase, and out the back door where Marcel kept the keys to the restaurant. The night was quiet, too quiet. Marcel's
What's
employees
good,
were
what's
all
good, what's
gone, and
good?
the usually busy street outside Bennett's Smokehouse and
Aurora,
Grill was eerily still. The only sound was the
like
rhythmic buzzing
basketball?
of a faulty
Yeah.
street lamp and the occasional scurrying of
I'm
rats in
good,
the
I'm
alley.
good, I'm good.
She
I
hesitated
got
at
a
the
football
entrance.
tournament today.
This was the
Hope we
point of
win,
no
you know what I'm
return.
saying? Catch a pick
If
six like Troy
Marcel ever found
Polamalu.
out she had stepped
If you
foot
know, you
inside
know.
that
The
freezer,
best
she
safety in the
wouldn't live to regret
NFL.
it. But she had to know. With trembling fingers, she
I be
slid the
drawing
key
and
into
shit,
the
and I
lock
be
and
hooping,
pushed the door open,
and I
stepping
be going to
inside.
the gym.
The walk-in freezer, where the truth lived. The freezer was massive, stretching the entire length of the back
Who
kitchen.
lying on the floor?
Large industrial shelves lined the walls, stacked with
Who's
baggies,
lying on the floor?
packages of meat, or what she had always been told was meat. Her breath formed clouds in the freezing air as she stepped deeper inside.
Yeah.
Then she saw it. A steel table,
Nah, it's
strapped to a
suede.
stand,
Wait,
positioned
no,
in
no,
the
no, no.
center of the room.
You right, it is
On it,
velvet.
a butcher's saw, a set of
I
knives,
got a
and a
red
bloody
velvet one
nail.
that's just like this one.
The stench hit her
I think it's
next,
in my
not
closet.
just the metallic tang of blood, but something worse. Something that made her stomach churn. She reached for one of the plastic-wrapped packages on the nearest shelf. Her fingers trembled as she pulled it closer, squinting at the label written in black marker. She expected it to say beef or pork, but it didn't. It read, left arm. Renee's stomach twisted. She snatched another package. Thigh. Another. Torso. Her vision blurred as she stumbled back, hitting the steel table. Torso. Her vision blurred as she stumbled back, hitting the steel table. A knife clattered to the floor, the sound echoing through the frozen chamber. Her entire world spun. This wasn't just a restaurant. Marcel had been serving human flesh. And then, the final horror. On the far side of the room, beneath a blood-soaked tarp, something glimmered under the fluorescent light. A gold bracelet. She knew that bracelet. She had seen Lisa wearing it
What's
100
good, what's good, what's
times.
good, John?
With shaking hands, she reached for it, turning it over. Her worst fear was confirmed. Lisa had been here. And now, she knew what had happened to her. Marcel had butchered her own cousin.
What's good, what's good, what's good,
Renee's
Robin?
breath came in shallow gasps.
You know what I'm saying?
She had to get out. She turned, moving as fast as she could without making noise. But just as she reached the door, her foot slipped. She looked down. A pool of blood. It was smeared across the tile, leading from the steel table to the drain in the floor. Thick. Dark. Fresh. She bit down on her fist to keep from screaming. Gripping the bracelet, she forced herself to keep moving, slipping out of the freezer and locking the door behind her. By the time she made it to her car, her
It's
entire body
5:02.
was shaking
You know what I'm
violently.
saying?
She
I'm
gripped
2
the
hours
steering
behind.
wheel, trying to catch her breath.
You might stay in like
But there was no
Maryland or
time to
like Virginia
process
or
what she
something.
had just seen.
Cause
By morning, she had made her
they
decision.
the only cities I know
She was
that's
going
like
to the police. Marcel had
7 or
spent
8.
years perfecting the art of
They the only
deception.
cities I know that's like
He knew
7 or
how to
8.
read people, how to
Like people
detect a
in like
lie,
Virginia
how
and
to
stuff.
sense when someone was
Cause I
hiding
used to
something.
live over there.
It was a skill
I'm
that had
from
kept
there.
him alive. And when he looked at Renee that night, he knew. She had seen. She had discovered his secret. But Marcel wasn't impulsive. He didn't explode in anger or demand answers. Instead, he watched. He waited. He let her think she had fooled him. When she returned home that night, she pretended nothing had changed. She kissed him on the cheek, mumbled something about being tired, and went straight to bed. But Marcel noticed her hands were shaking. He noticed her eyes wouldn't meet his. And most importantly, he noticed she didn't eat. Not a single bite. That was all the proof he needed. She knew. The next morning, Renee woke up before the sun rose. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. She had two options. Go straight to the police. Risk him catching on, risk him getting to her first, or confront him. Try to reason with him, try to make him stop. She chose wrong. As Marcel sat at the kitchen table, drinking his morning coffee, Renee stood across from him, gripping the counter so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her heart was pounding, but she forced herself to stay calm. Marcel, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I know what you've been doing. He didn't move. She took a shaky breath. I saw the freezer. I saw the packages. I saw Lisa's bracelet. Still, nothing. Marcel just sat there, stirring his coffee like she hadn't just shattered their entire world. I don't know how long you've been doing this, she continued, gathering her courage,
Same
but it
thing,
has
you
to
know what I'm
stop.
saying?
I won't keep your secret. I can't. She braced herself for an explosion of rage. But instead, Marcel smiled. And in the coldest, calmest voice, he asked, and what exactly do you plan to do with that information, baby? A chill ran down Renee's spine. That wasn't the response of a man who was afraid of getting caught. That was the response of
If
a
you
man
really
who
want
had
to get
already
high,
made up his mind.
get a XL
Her
hoodie,
instincts
double
screamed at her
XL,
to run.
and
She
smoking the
turned,
inside of that
too late.
motherfucker.
Marcel lunged.
Cause all that air
Renee
just
barely had time to react
surrounded
before
you.
his hands were around her throat, shoving her against the wall. Her head slammed into the plaster, sending pain exploding through her skull. She gasped, kicking, clawing at his arms, but Marcel was stronger. Much stronger. Her vision blurred as his grip tightened. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. Black spots danced in her eyes. She could hear his breath, slow, steady, controlled. This wasn't rage. This wasn't impulse. This was planned. He was waiting. Watching. Enjoying the moment she realized she wouldn't make it out of that house alive.
Hotbox a hoodie.
Just
You know
as
what I'm
she thought
saying?
she might pass out,
You can
Marcel
hotbox a
suddenly
hoodie
let go.
outside.
Renee collapsed
Anyway,
to the floor,
that shit
choking,
gonna always
gasping
get
for
you
air.
hyped.
But
Cause
before
once
she
you
could
come out that
move,
motherfucker
before she could
and all
crawl,
the smoke
scream,
hit your
or
eyes,
fight, the knife was already in his hand.
you already die as me.
She barely saw it coming.
You gonna be high as fuck.
A flash of steel. A sharp, searing pain. Then,
See?
warmth.
I got
A
my
deep,
XO hoodie right
pulsing
here.
warmth spreading across her
Double
stomach.
XL.
She looked down. His knife was buried to the hilt, right below her ribs. Her own blood seeped through her hands as she grabbed at the wound. Marcel twisted the blade. A strangled cry tore from her lips. She fell. Her body hit the kitchen tiles with a soft thud. The room tilted, the ceiling swimming above her as her blood
Did
waved
this nigga
around
get
her.
arrested or something, bro?
She tried to move, tried to speak, but her limbs felt heavy. Her mouth wouldn't work. She could hear Marcel moving, humming, like this was just another day in his kitchen. As her vision dimmed, she saw him crouch beside her, wiping his hands on a dish towel. He leaned in close, his voice soft. "You should have stayed out of my business, baby." Those were the last words Renee ever heard. Marcel stood over Renee's body, wiping the last streak of blood from his hands. He had done this countless times before. But this time, it was different. This was his wife. For a brief moment, he hesitated. Not out of guilt. Not out of love. But because this was personal. And personal jobs required precision. Marcel wasted no time. He grabbed her ankles first, dragging her across the kitchen floor, leaving a thick, crimson trail behind. The back door swung open with ease. Beyond it, his true workspace. A fully equipped butchering room, stainless steel tables, industrial saws, and hooks hanging from the ceiling. Most people thought it was for processing meat. They just didn't know what kind. Marcel heaved Renee onto the table, her body limp, her skin still warm. A deep breath. A steady grip. A swift motion. The first cut was always the hardest. His knife sank into her flesh with ease, slicing through the muscle, working through the tendons. He had perfected his technique over the years. No wasted motion. No unnecessary force. Just skill. He worked quickly, efficiently. First, the arms, separated at the joints. Then the legs, neatly detached. By the time he was finished, Renee was unrecognizable. Nothing about her resembled the woman he had once called his wife. Now, she was just meat. Marcel wrapped each section carefully, vacuum sealing the pieces just like he did with the others. Labeled. Stacked. Stored. But this time, he had to be smart. Renee wasn't just some nobody. People knew her. People would notice she was missing. Dumping the body wasn't an option. Burning it wasn't either. So he came up with a better plan. A plan that would make sure no one ever found a trace of her. That week, Bennett's Smokehouse and Grill introduced a new menu item. Marcel's signature burger. A limited time special. Rich. Juicy. Unlike anything customers had ever tasted. The secret? Marcel knew. His staff didn't. They didn't question where the extra meat came from. Didn't question why it was pre-ground, already seasoned, already packed into perfect portions. All they knew, it was damn good. Customers lined
What's
up
good?
for
What's
it.
good?
Some even came back twice in the same day. This is the best thing I've ever eaten. What kind of meat is this? It's so tender. You need to keep this on the menu. Marcel just smiled, nodding along, watching as they took bite after bite after bite. They had no idea. They had no idea that they were devouring his wife. No loose ends. With every burger that left his kitchen, with every customer that licked their fingers and raved about the flavor, Renee disappeared. Piece by piece. Bite by bite. Until there was nothing left of her at all. For weeks, no one questioned Renee's disappearance. Marcel Bennett had an answer for everything. Renee packed her bags and left. She couldn't handle the stress of the restaurant anymore. It wasn't unusual for relationships to fall apart, and to the outside world, Marcel was just a heartbroken husband trying to keep his business running.
What's good, what's good, what's good with y'all? I just got done watching this weird ass video. Man butchered his wife, but I don't know if it's real or not. This shit sound fake as hell. But there do be some evil ass people out there. Pretty trick.
I don't care what you did. I'm sorry about what I did. Just come home.
You killed your wife. She ain't coming home.
Just
Now
please.
your bitch ass crying.
This is Joseph Paul DeWise, and his deteriorating relationship with his wife, Lauren, is slowly ruining his life. I'm driving and I'm crying. I don't want to go without you. I'm sorry. I will do better.
This nigga killed his wife, now he crying.
Over the years,
Stop being a
Lauren
bitch.
had lost her feelings for Paul, but Paul's love for her had only grown stronger. And to cope with slowly losing the love of his life,
You
Paul
killed your wife,
turned
now
to
you spending
drinking,
the rest of your life
sending
in
his
jail.
mental state to a
Stupid.
downward spiral. His love for Lauren would turn into hatred. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh, I'm just an innocent victim now. Why don't you attack me in front of the camera? Why don't you talk to me like you did a minute ago? And that's what this is about. And I'm angry. And it's hard for me to live with. Paul could only bear the pain for so long. His complex emotions turned into obsession, leading him to stalk Lauren, where he soon discovered she was going on dates with other men. Eventually, enough was enough. Good night, Lauren. I hope you sleep well. On the night of January 7th, 2018, Lauren DeWise would be found dead in her bedroom. It was confirmed that Paul was responsible.
I live at 1308. It's a next door neighbor. She just came over in hysterics and says somebody shot her roommate.
What makes this case specifically so interesting is that Paul recorded his entire mental downfall from the start of his issues with Lauren all the way to the tragic end. For the past 6 months, I've worked with a handful of police stations, district attorneys, and news networks
nigga
to
crazy.
gather the entire recorded life of Joseph Paul DeWise. This
I ain't
is
gonna
his
lie.
full story.
I wish nothing but bad luck on this nigga. Nigga fucked around and killed his wife. And now he trying to cry on camera and shit. Nah, nigga, don't. Ain't nobody here for your pity ass crime.
This was a letter to Lauren,
Fuck
written
you
by
talking
Paul
about?
on July 24th,
Nigga killed his fucking
2017.
wife. You
It
stupid ass
indicates the
nigga.
first real side of Paul and Lauren's relationship problems, but also Paul's dark tendency of self-hatred.
I have no excuse for what happened last night. I am a very bad person for you right now. I hate myself. I do not deserve you. I have no reason to be loved by you or the kids. I ruined everything. You deserve someone way better than me.
Paul wrote this letter just hours after a heated argument with Lauren, where he lost his temper and screamed at her, all in front of their 3 children. This was likely one of many arguments that took place in the home, because after this incident, Lauren would leave their home, stating, "I'll only return for the kids." Looking at the letter, it's clear that Paul felt immense guilt for screaming in front of his children, perhaps even more than most would. And there's a very good reason for that. In his journal, Paul would often write about growing up in an abusive household. In one entry, he described
It
walking
always
in on his
start with an
father
abusive
screaming and
household.
choking his mother, her face turning purple from the strangulation.
Hey,
Perhaps
bruh.
Paul felt he had followed in his father's footsteps by becoming aggressive towards Lauren in front of their children, something that likely embarrassed him. But instead of
I don't even know why
apologizing
she
for his
like this
outburst,
nigga.
he
The nigga
chose a
ugly as
different
shit.
path. He would begin
Nigga
manipulating
look like
his children,
goddamn,
convincing them that he had
goddamn
done nothing wrong,
science
even
teacher or
going
some
as
shit.
far as recording these
Nigga look
statements
like
to
he
show
supposed to be
Lauren
in
later
school.
on.
So how do you feel about what happened with Laura?
I'm angry and sad and I don't know.
I'm upset. I'm mad. I don't understand. It's overwhelming. The only damage that I feel that has been done by is honestly Lauren. I mean, everything was fine until she decided that she wanted to do what she did.
Was it my fault? Was I a bad husband to Laura? No.
This nigga manipulating his children to go against their mom. That's crazy. Manipulate your kids to go against your mom.
Lauren had moved out of the house, and Paul's attempts at manipulation only pushed her further away. In turn, his abandonment issues worsened, spiraling into paranoia over the thought of Lauren falling in love with someone else. There are numerous examples of Paul's paranoia, but certain examples are particularly notable. One thing Paul would consistently do over these years was send relentless barrages of text messages. They would usually start out in a calm, collected way.
I respected you, and so did the community. Now you are someone else. You aren't building love in the family anymore. Mostly insecurity, and frustration, and sadness.
But would quickly spiral into unintelligible rants of self-hatred and aggressive accusations.
Now I am depressed again. How can you not care? How can you make me deal with this by myself? Why won't you save us? I'm sick again, and my counselor had to cancel. I am a pathetic piece of crap now. I am completely alone. My life is ruined. My money is gone. My body is broken. My wife doesn't care about me except to hurt me. You are abusive. You. I'm crazy now. Great job.
Always ending with some type of accusatory comment, likely to make Lauren feel guilt over not being there for him. Another thing he would regularly do was contact people in Lauren's life. One notable example would be towards Lauren's female co-worker, who Paul suspected to be bisexual.
I would appreciate it if you would stay away from my wife. You are not a good influence for her, and she is acting like a single woman. I don't not trust you as I reached out to you, and you ignored me. My wife needs family-oriented friends, not friends that married people and aren't friends enough to help in crisis.
Paul's messages to Lauren and her friends continued for months, growing increasingly emotional over time. But Lauren would rarely respond. Reading his diaries, it's clear this deeply upset Paul. He felt like he was losing the woman he loved. Desperate for a reaction, he soon turned to sending her videos instead, hoping that would finally grab her attention.
I don't care what you did. I'm sorry about what I did. Just please come home. I don't want to restrict this by myself. And I love you.
You hear this nigga? Nigga
Please.
sound like a bitch.
Just fucking please.
Nigga crying.
Please.
How about you go
I work
outside
2 jobs.
and go find you another
I'll do
woman?
anything. I won't be here. I'll be working all the time. Just
I'll
come
be
home.
on here. I'll be working all the time.
Please. Please come home.
Like,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
nigga
I was so
crying.
angry. I have a new perspective now.
Paul's emotional swings indicate a deep fear of abandonment, likely stemming from his childhood. With Lauren, he was angry and controlling. Without her, he was desperate and self-pitying. When she responded, it would briefly ease his distress, but unfortunately for Paul, Lauren would stop responding altogether. On November 14th, Paul's worst fears of abandonment would come true. He would discover clues that Lauren had started going out again, and later that same week, he signed up for VSync GPS tracking
What? The
services.
Badoo ad?
And later that same week, he signed up for VSync GPS tracking services and registered her phone to the system. Paul would start stalking her. He would take pictures of Lauren and the various bars she would go to and store them away to confront her with later. But on November 14th, things took a dark turn when, while stalking her, Paul discovered Lauren in her car with a co-worker named Kevin making out. It seemed to confirm his deep fear of being abandoned as he stood there watching it all unfold. Kevin would eventually leave the vehicle, allowing Paul to rush in and let Lauren know he saw everything that just happened. He'd pull out his phone to record, but would only capture a few seconds.
It was an accident. I'm sorry.
Paul would go on to take Lauren's phone, texting Kevin an array of angry messages. However, eventually, Lauren would escape the situation. Approximately 22 hours after this had taken place, Paul would find Lauren with a different man, Brian. The two were simply co-workers, but Paul wasn't going to take any chances. So again, he would go up to the car, this time confronting the man instead of Lauren. This man had absolutely no intimate relationship with Lauren, so he retaliated against these claims, even punching Paul in the face.
Another good-looking man.
Paul was furious. However, instead of begging Lauren to get back together, he would ask her to grab her final belongings from the house and never come back. This was a sharp distinction from the previous weeks and even months. It seemed like Paul's ongoing desperation for Lauren had bizarrely turned into hatred. Lauren would oblige and go on to take her items from the house, but Paul wouldn't stop there. The next morning, he would take to Facebook, making a public post stating,
Has anyone in Bozeman not kissed my wife? Last night I caught Lauren making out with this man in her car outside of a bar. She is the best liar I have ever known.
Paul had turned to retaliation, and his video recordings made that clear.
Yes, I've been drinking. I'm having beer. But I'm not wasted. I'm very upset. I've heard this shit for years. I didn't realize it because I was blind. And that's what this is about. And I'm angry. And my children are angry. And my baby's angry. And it's hard for me to live with. It's very difficult. It's all about shutting you down. But in Bozeman, there's all these young 30-somethings with tons of money that Lauren's chasing. She loves that. And she's going to step up from me and our family and get ahead. I'm angry. I don't want her to keep her job. I would like to protect the community from her. I'm sure I will be an outcast now because, who tells the truth anymore, right?
Paul continued to bombard Lauren with texts, stalk her, and most of all, fuel his chronic alcoholism, which only worsened his anger issues. At one point, even telling Lauren's friend at a local bar, quote, I've killed people before, and I'm not afraid to do it again. The final straw in Paul's downward spiral came in an incident completely unrelated to Lauren. While out walking with his daughter, Paul would begin threatening a homeowner whose dogs were barking at him from behind a fence.
What's good,
The man
elite?
confronted him. An enraged Paul pulled out a pocket knife and stabbed him in the hip, and Paul would record the entire event. When the man confronted him, an enraged Paul pulled out a pocket knife and stabbed him in the hip, and Paul would record the entire event.
We just got attacked by these people's dogs. This is my baby. Baby, did you think that dog was gonna get you? I did too. And then this man attacked me behind the dog after this woman. Baby, I'm sorry. I withdrew my knife to defend myself against this man who took me down with a single leg takedown. As a last resort, when my back was on the floor, I struck up with the knife. I struck the man. They pulled the dog away. Now the dog's gone. You okay, baby? I'm so sorry.
You stood here and
And
antagonized.
see, still the aggression.
You stood here
With my baby.
antagonizing the dogs. Look at what you're doing to
I'm blocking my baby from this woman.
Look what you're doing to
This is the aggression these people have. They threatened us when we tried to walk by. Let's get out of here.
Are you some kind of helper? Are you crazy or what?
You're crazy.
Wow.
Serious?
You guys are gonna be out of here.
I'm
I'm so glad you've been uncovered for what you are.
You better chill the fuck out.
That's right, I should.
You kicked me and I put you on the ground
That's
so
right.
that you can figure out what's
It's
going
okay,
on.
baby. That's right. Don't run away.
Threaten me and fucking cut. Drop the knife!
I dropped it.
Get on the ground! Now! Do not move!
It's okay.
Hand behind your back!
It's okay.
Hand behind your back! Do not move!
It's okay, baby.
Luckily for Paul, the homeowner had technically put his hands on him first, so the stabbing was considered self-defense. And while he would walk away with no charges, this event would signify that Paul was not afraid of violence, and in fact seemed to endorse it. On January 6,
Gonna do a hood
2018,
trick
at
for both of
11:56 a.m., Paul would text Lauren, inviting her over for some soup. Lauren would never reply. At 3:36 p.m., Paul would text Lauren, asking if they were still meeting for tomorrow. Lauren would reply, "What for? I'd like to pick up my daughter and spend time with her." This seemed to upset Paul, so he would go on his, by this point, usual rant to Lauren, sending messages such as, "I beg you, please don't destroy us, I love you, and will do whatever it takes." Hours later, at 10:58 p.m., Lauren would reply, "No, thank you." A 2-hour gap would proceed with no text messages between the two. However, Paul was completing other tasks during this time. First, Paul can be seen on CCTV at the town pump gas station at 12:34 a.m. Additionally, Paul would take a photo from his phone minutes after. While blurry, this photo shows Lauren's current home in the distance, as well as a GPS tracking device inside the vehicle. Following this photo, Paul would send a final text message saying, "I know I'm not supposed to text you now, but I can't sleep. Please, please, please come home. I miss you and love you so much. Please, I love you. We all do. Please just come home. Please."
911, what's the address of your emergency?
Idaho Street, Belgrade. The next door neighbor, she just came over in hysterics and said somebody shot her roommate.
Did it just happen?
Yeah, she said it just happened. She needs ambulance and police.
Okay, where is the person that shot the neighbor?
Who shot? Who shot? The guy's name was Paul DeWise.
So Paul DeWise is the one that shot the person?
That's what she said, yeah. She said her roommate Ashley is the one that's still alive.
Do we know where Paul is now?
She doesn't know if he's still in the house. That's why she ran.
Okay, all right. Is Ashley bleeding seriously?
Was she bleeding seriously? Yeah, she said yeah.
Okay.
Lauren and her roommate, Ashley, were shot on the morning of January 6th. Their neighbors would hear the gunshot and rush to the home, finding what they saw as a deceased Lauren and a severely wounded Ashley. Additionally, the neighbors would name Paul DeWise as the shooter. Officers would waste no time and rush to the scene immediately.
Where are we at? What's going on?
I just came in and I saw that my back door had been broken in, so I went to the back and I could see footsteps in the snow, so I ran up to my room to see if my roommate was okay. I have 2 roommates.
Okay.
One of them dead, and the other one is in her room and she's still alive and she needs help, but I ran because I didn't know if he was still in the house.
Okay, so you don't know if there's somebody else in the
I don't
house?
think so, but I don't know.
Okay.
Lauren looks like she's been a while, and Ashley's asked me for help and I ran.
Okay. Is this door open?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 2 people upstairs. Is that what you're telling me? Okay. But we don't know if there's anybody else in the house. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. One apparent dead, one still alive. She said I ran out as soon as I saw that. I have no idea if there's still anybody else in there.
Okay.
So this is open.
Okay.
Footprints in the snow leading up here.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep. Belgrade Police!
Police department!
Anybody inside? Come out!
Going this way.
Okay, I got stairwell. Police!
Sergeant 326.
Where are you at? How many people are inside?
We're making entry.
How many people? Okay. Stairs.
We're coming.
Belgrade Police, show me your hands. We got doors on the left and right.
Police! Who shot you?
No, please don't shoot me.
I'm not gonna shoot you.
Please don't shoot me.
One control down. Here's the deceased.
I'm behind you.
Okay, we need medical in here now.
Please don't shoot me.
We're not gonna shoot you, ma'am.
My name's Ashley.
Ashley, what's going on? Who shot you?
Nobody.
Oh, what happened?
I don't know. Please come here.
Who did?
Are you the police?
I'm the police, right here.
Where are you?
I'm right here. Can you see me?
Where are you?
I'm right here.
Where?
Ashley was temporarily blind, with a bullet wound to the back of her head and several others across her body. She had no idea where she was and wasn't even aware she had been shot.
Are you the police?
I'm the police, yes.
Show me your face then.
I'm right here. Can you see me?
No.
Can you see anything?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm right here. Can you
Where
hear
are
me?
you?
I'm right here. Can you feel my hand?
Where are you?
What?
Please don't shoot me.
I'm not gonna shoot you. Where do you hurt?
I don't hurt anywhere.
You don't hurt anywhere?
No. Are you going to hurt me?
No, I don't want to hurt you.
Okay, please help me.
We're gonna help you, Ashley.
Ashley was not in a communicative state at this point, making this about as difficult a situation as you can get as a police officer. Regardless, this officer would do a heroic job of remaining calm as he continued to talk to Ashley and ensure she stayed awake. Fortunately, medical staff arrived quickly and Ashley would be rushed to the hospital. Whether or not she would survive remained to be seen, but the officer can rest assured knowing that he did everything possible to keep her alive. The other victim, Lauren, would be pronounced dead on the scene. While this is devastating, another problem still had to be solved, and solved fast, as the shooter had not yet been located.
Got the garage cleared?
Yep, he cleared the garage. We got tracks everywhere. Can you move that bed frame? Or the mattress?
Clear.
Got a man door. Can we go out that?
Yeah.
We're clear? Is there tracks going over the top of the fence or anything?
No. Negative.
How about this way?
There's tracks going around that way.
Okay, is there a gate open?
The house was clear, meaning whoever killed Lauren had fled immediately. And while he may have gotten away, several clues would be left behind. The most obvious being a trail of bloody footprints leading from the east side of the house over to the back door. At the time, this was a small, irrelevant detail. However, this would become one of the leading pieces of evidence to solve the case later on. By nothing short of a miracle, Ashley would survive the brutal attack. She would undergo multiple emergency surgeries, fracture treatments, and blood transfusions. This was a blessing for not only Ashley and her family, but for the detectives working on the case. Because if Ashley could recall what had happened and who shot her, solving this case would become a whole lot easier. But before we dive deeper into the case, let me tell you about today's sponsor, ShipStation. Express ship platform of order a day trial video. So, After Ashley had briefly recovered from her surgeries, detectives would sit down for a formal interview. The goal of the interview was to help her recall crucial details about the incident by asking specific, targeted questions, in hopes of triggering memories that might have been buried due to the trauma.
So obviously, you know, we're here to talk to you.
Yes, I do.
And I know this is kind of a tough question, but can you tell me, do you remember anything at all?
When I got shot?
Mm-hmm.
No. No, I do not remember being shot at all.
Well, yeah, you're a lucky gal, but everything that I've heard, you know, you're a fighter.
It's a miracle I'm alive. I thank God every day.
It's really a miracle.
It is.
The detective would continue asking questions for another 30 minutes, but unfortunately, Ashley was unable to answer anything whatsoever. Again, officers were left confused as to who this killer was and why this happened in the first place. Due to the lack of physical evidence, detectives decided to talk to more witnesses in order to determine a primary suspect. Audrea, the neighbor who called for help, had reported Paul as the potential killer during the 911 call. So with this in mind, officers decided it was imperative to speak with Audrea to better understand why she would make these claims. And she would waste no time letting officers in on Lauren's abusive relationship with Paul.
We went golfing once this summer.
Okay.
Well, she actually had worked out at my gym. I'm a personal trainer at Big Sky Barbell, and she had come in one day and I saw a bruise on her, and I remember saying, dude, what happened to your leg? And she said, oh, I just ran into something. And I said, 100-mile-an-hour softball? What happened to your leg? She just dismissed it. A couple months later, we were golfing, and she said, they've lived here about a year, and she said, I can't believe I've never told anybody this, but I think I need to leave Paul. He beats me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And used to contact me every day. One day would be, you ruined my life, to, I can't believe you're helping my wife, to, I'm so sorry, this is all my fault. This has nothing to do with you. You did nothing wrong. I mean, he's got a schizophrenic chain of messages that I never responded to. Anyway, yesterday, it's actually been a miracle. She went over to his house for their daughters. They have a 3-year-old daughter. She turned 4 on Thursday.
Audrea was well aware Paul was an abusive and psychotic husband prior to Lauren's death. Based on Audrea's claims, her suspicion of Paul's involvement would only grow stronger.
I left last night around 9. She had just gotten out of the bath, and she had actually said something to me like, I'm just so happy here. I feel safer than I've felt in years. And I remember leaving her. I left around 9:30. And I got home this morning, got home early, and when I walked in, I looked down in my back door frame. 2 pieces of wood were laying on the floor. And I ran upstairs to see if Lauren was okay. She was not okay. I literally the door had been propped open and she always slammed it. And then the number that locked up, and I could spare my fingers. I didn't lock it all the way up. I just looked at her and was like, she really going to bed when I was there, but I think we already went to gunshots because he has like a bicyclist pulled him over, cut him off, and got close to the traffic once. He pulled his bicycle. He pulled his Lauren. He got banned from Airbnb. He pulled his Airbnb gas.
Yeah.
Based on Ashley's claims, Paul was not only an abuser, but also notoriously threatened people with the same weapon used to kill Lauren. It was becoming more and more clear that Paul was who detectives ultimately needed to speak with. Safely getting Paul to the police station for questioning was something that needed to be done with extreme precaution. Whoever killed Lauren was armed with a .22 caliber pistol, and if Paul was responsible, a dangerous scenario could occur if police contacted him directly. So, in order to safely secure him, officers devised a complex plan for his arrest. Paul's house would be heavily surveyed the day of the arrest. The moment Paul left his house, the surveillance team would notify the arrest team of his direction of travel. In order to leave his neighborhood, Paul would have to exit either to the west on South 19th Avenue or east on South 3rd Avenue. Units would be blocking both streets, and a high-risk felony stop would be used to take DeWise into custody. With this plan, officers were granted an arrest warrant for Paul, and immediately the operation would go underway. At 9 a.m. the next day, Paul would exit his house in his Chevrolet Suburban. He'd turn west onto South 19th Avenue, where an officer would be waiting for him, and quickly pull the vehicle over.
Open up the door. Keep both hands up. Okay, go ahead and get out. Listen. Okay, sit down. Hands up.
Hands up. Walk over here. Turn around. Look away from me. Walk backwards. Keep coming. Keep coming. Stop. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Do not move. Do you understand me? Take him to the back of my car. All right.
The plan had worked perfectly, and Paul was quickly brought to the Bozeman police station for his first formal interrogation. At this point, Paul knows exactly why he's here. His wife had been found murdered. He also knows that, logically, an innocent man wouldn't have that kind of information in the first place. What makes this interrogation particularly interesting is that, despite knowing this, Paul subconsciously steers the conversation towards his wife.
I'm gonna hit the cart and shit one more time before I leave.
My name's Justin. I'm with the Belgrade Police Department. Okay.
At this point,
I
there
hate
has
both of
been
these shits.
no
I'm gonna hit
mention
it.
of Lauren whatsoever.
These shits got a nigga smack.
I'm gonna stay home for quite a while.
It's the hardest job there is.
Had a couple of accidents, and I ended up switching roles and staying home.
Yeah.
Man, we're going through transition right now, though, so.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What kind of transition?
We're separated.
Oh.
And in fact, she was supposed to get a baby today. So it's been tough. I hurt my knee back in June, and we had a lot of problems since then. And I had surgery in August, and it caused a lot of problems.
The detectives still haven't mentioned Lauren.
I've had a bunch of injuries in the last few years, and she's pissed off at
We
me
out.
about that.
You know what I'm saying?
Was it work related?